All right, this is it. The Dodge Intrepid build is finally coming to an end. We've brought this Dodge Intrepid back from the dead, but before it goes up for sale, there's a few last details to take care of. Some more fresh paint, new exhaust tips, a really good detail job, and then it's ready to hit the market. All right, let's get into it. All right, we're gonna get started sanding back on the hood. There's a small dent right here in the center. I'm gonna get that sanded back and maybe get that pounded out a little bit, and then get a skim coat of Bondo on there, and then it's ready to sand back and get it primered and painted. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I got the hood all sanded down, fixed the two dents that it had. So now I need to get it pulled off to put it on the table so I can shoot it with some etching primer to seal the bare metal. Already wiped it down with some prep all and then a dry cloth. So anyways, let's get it off and get it on the table so we can get it sealed with some etching primer at least. All right, so we got the hood shot with self-etching primer and then high-fill sandable primer. Once that's dry, we'll get that sanded down and then we'll get it moved into the garage and get it shot with some paint. All right, so I've got the trunk all taped off because the clear coat back here is peeling as well. So I'm gonna get that sanded back, and then anywhere that it gets down to the primer, I'll get some more cans of the base coat and some more cans of clear coat so I can get the trunk looking good too. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna move into taking care of this spot on the door. They must have put a small skim coat of Bondo here due to a dent in the past, and it's chipped off. So this might not necessarily be the right way to do it, but it's the way I'm gonna do it to make the door look a lot better because the clear coat's all peeling off and then this chip right here. So I want it to look right. I tried to look online and see if I could find a door with the matching paint code, PAW, and I couldn't find one. So I'm gonna have to fix it the wrong way so it at least looks a lot better than this. So, all right, let's get this ground back and then see what's underneath. All right, so I went ahead and put the green etching primer on there, and then I went in with some black sandable primer to blend it all in. Now I need to go in and Bondo this little spot right here, and there's one little one over here, and then we can get all primed up and ready to go and painted. You have to put the primer on before you do the filler, otherwise it doesn't stick very well because moisture will get on the bare metal, so it has to be, you know, sealed with primer and everything before you put the body filler on there. So once this dries, we'll come in and get a skim coat of Bondo right here to cover up this little dent, and right here, this little spot, and then we'll be able to paint it. So let's let this dry. So the next thing we'll see will be me putting the Bondo on. So, all right. right, so we got all the body work done, and then we hit it with some sandable primer. Once that's completely dry, we'll be able to sand and make sure that it's all perfectly smooth. But in the meantime, we're gonna get the paper taken off because it's all covered in Bondo dust anyway. And when I go to paint it, I'm gonna back it in the garage so that I can shoot the door and not worry about anything landed in the paint. All right, let's get all this paper off here. All right, so we're ready to get the Intrepid taken down off the jack stands and get it pulled in the garage so we can get the door shot with some paint. All right, let's get this thing off the jack stands. All right, so we got the Intrepid down off the jack stands and ready to pull in the garage. We gotta get the Camaro fired up, move out of the way so we'll get the Intrepid in here. So, all right, let's get this one fired up. All right, so now we gotta get some plastic sheeting hung up in here because I don't want any overspray getting on the Torino or on any of the tools or any of my open engine parts on the workbench. So let's get the plastic hung up so we can get the car pulled in here. All right, so as you can see, we got the temporary paint booth all set up. So let's get the Intrepid fired up and pulled in here. Taped off and everything, got it primed, and so now we're ready to hit it with some base coat. So let's get the paint on here and then we'll let that sit and dry before we put the clear coat on. Alright, so I got the first coat on there, that's nice and dry now. The other thing was I forgot to put my respirator on. Don't do that, make sure you put your respirator on. So, alright, let's get another coat on here. Alright, so we're going to let the base coat flash off and let any solvents and gases escape from it before we clear it. So we're going to let it sit overnight and then we'll do that tomorrow. So the next thing you see, it'll be tomorrow. Alright, so we let that sit overnight. Now we can get some clear coat on there, so let's get right into it. Alright, so we got the first coat on, we're going to let that dry and then we'll put it on another coat. Alright, so we got, I don't know, like 5 or 6 coats of clear coat on there. I'm going to let that dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to go get a haircut and a shave because I got nothing else to do right now. So I got to wait for it to dry. And then we're going to move on to doing the trunk. Alright, we'll see you in a second. Alright, so I'm back from getting my haircut. I let it sit overnight and dry. So anyways, we're going to get it all unwrapped. and then we'll get it pulled out of here and get the trunk taken off and bring the trunk in and the hood in and put them on a sawhorse, or put them on sawhorses, and start getting those painted. So, all right, let's get this unwrapped and see how it looks. Alright, so I got it all uncovered. The car itself is still pretty dusty. I went ahead and wiped this area right here. The paint is a pretty close match. I think once the car is actually washed, you can see the transition, the color here, but the light's hitting it different over here because of the curve of the back part right here, so it looks a little bit lighter colored, but when you get the same angle on it, it looks the same color. So I think once it's washed and this is buffed out a little bit, I think it'll be a pretty good match. So all right, well, let's get the car pulled out and we'll get the trunk pulled off so we can bring it in and get it shot with some primer and then get it ready for some paint. All right, so you can see a little bit better out here in the daylight where I wiped it off right here. The paint is pretty darn close to being darn near spot on, so I'm pretty happy with it. So all right, let's get the trunk removed so we can get that brought in to paint it. All right, so I'm ready to get the trunk removed. I already have the third brake light taped off there. The shocks, as you can see, are shot on it. I ordered some new ones. I have new ones sitting over there on the step stool ready to put on. So I'm going to put those on so the trunk will actually hold itself up while I undo the bolts, because right now it just wants to keep on falling on me. So all right, let's get these shocks changed out. Got the new shocks on here. Now the shocks work perfectly. So, all right, let's get it off here and get it brought in the garage. All right, before I bring the trunk in here, I need to get the sawhorses set up. I didn't have any, so I looked online, and there was a guy selling these for 15 bucks. There was 2 of them, and so what I'm going to do to make them able to hold apart so nothing gets all scratched up is I'm actually going to attach a pool noodle or a pipe insulator to the top of it here, so that when I lay the parts on top, they don't get all scratched up. So, all right, let's get this pool noodle here attached to it. Okay, so the paint is nice and dry. I had to move it because it started to rain last night, so I needed to pull the Intrepid in because the trunk was obviously wide open and I didn't want to get full of water. So anyway, so I moved it over here. So now it's ready to get the clear coat on it. So let's get it wiped down with the tack cloth and then we'll get it hit with some clear coat. right, so while the clear coat's drying on the trunk, I'm gonna take care of this spot right here where the clear coat is peeling. I'm gonna wet sand that back. Hopefully I don't get into any of the color, so that I only have to hit it with a little bit of clear coat to get this part right here to look a lot better, because right now it's, you know, it's dry and dirty, but it's peeling back a little bit right here. So let's get this wet sand and then see how it looks afterwards. Alright, so I let the clear coat sit overnight. It's nice and dry now, so now I can get all the tape and the paper taken off, and then we can move on to getting the hood brought in and getting the rear quarter there shot with some clear coat. So, alright, let's get this paper off here. Alright, so I'm going to bring the hood in. I got some rope tied up to the little beams up here. Now I can hang it, and then I'll put the bottom of it kicked out on the sawhorses, so that'll be at a little bit of an angle, so that I'm not just spraying straight down with the can. It'll just be easier when it's on an angle. So let's get the hood brought in and get it hung up. Alright, so I got it wiped down with some prep ball and sanded and wiped down again with some prep ball and a dry towel. So now we're ready to get the base coat on. So let's get this thing sprayed. Alright, so we let the paint dry overnight. It's ready for some clear coat. First, we're going to get it wiped down with some tack cloth to get any dust off of it that's settled on it. And then we're going to get shot with some clear coat. So, alright, let's get this clear coat on here. Alright, so we got the clear coat on there. We're going to let that sit and dry overnight. I also did the rear quarter piece, got a clear coat on there. Once that's all completely dry, we'll get the paper taken off, we'll get the trunk reinstalled, and we'll get the hood installed. So next thing you see, it'll be tomorrow when this is all dry. All right, so let the hood sit and dry overnight. That's ready to go. We've got the trunk sitting up here. It's all ready to get mounted up. Then we just need to pull all the paper off back here and get the trunk and stuff mounted up. And then once we get all finished up, we'll get the entire car washed up, and then we'll detail it really well, give it a nice wax, and then I think it'll look perfect. So, all right, let's get all these parts on here. Okay, so we got the trunk all mounted up and the antenna back on, so let's move up to the front and get the hood on. All right, we got the hood back on and it looks fantastic. So now we need to move on to getting the exhaust tips changed out. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, so while I'm waiting on some of the primer and stuff to dry in the Bondo, I'm gonna move on to doing the exhaust tips. The exhaust tips need to be changed out because, as you can see, they're super rusty, nasty looking, and I want them to look nice. So I'm gonna come in here and put some new tips on here and make it look a lot nicer. So, all right, let's get these things cut off. All right, so I got the old exhaust tips off. As you can see, they're super rusty, look like crap. I ended up going with these ones here. They're pretty much identical to the ones that were on it, except for these ones are 4-inch outlet, whereas these ones were 3-inch outlet. So let's get these ones on the car. All right, we got the exhaust tips all welded on, so let's see how it sounds now. All right, we got all the body work and the painting done, the new exhaust tips put on. There's two last things to do, is get these 3 little fender vent stick-ons off here and get the door bumper put back on. Then we can get it all detailed up and get it put online so we can get it for sale. So, all right, let's get these off here. All right, so we got the car all washed up and it's nice and dry. Many of you may have been wondering why I've been leaving this piece of tape here. It's because I made a mark so that I can line the end of this door bumper up properly. And on that end, I can obviously line it up with the one that's on the front door. But anyway, that's why that's on here. So let's get this door bumper on here. All right, so we got the little stick-on fender vents off the fender here. Now we need to move into doing a couple more things. This little trim piece that runs along the windshield here on both sides, the black stuff's peeling off of it, so I need to remove those and get those painted black. And then on the trunk back here, when I press the button on the key fob, the popper doesn't work, and so I need to take this off to check and see. For one, is it getting signal, or is it the little solenoid actuator in here that's not working? And it also, when I push the button on the dash, this also doesn't work. So my guy says it's the little actuator inside here that's bad, but we'll get this pulled off to check that. Also, because I want to remove this third brake light. Many years ago when I bought this car back in like 2007, I think it was 2007, 2008. When I was driving it all the time back then, I had smoked the taillights, and you know, over the years, it's, you know, faded off or whatever. So I want to get those smoked again. I'm trying to decide if I want to wrap them or spray them, because when I sprayed them last time, I took the time to tape off the reverse lights and turn signals here really well, and then use a razor blade so that the original shape would stay there. And if I just wrapped it, it would be pretty much impossible to get those to stay visible. So that your reverse light and stuff worked very well, and that the amber for the turn signals would be visible in the right color. So I'll probably end up taping them off again and then spraying them with the spray smoke stuff, so that it looks a lot better. Because in the past, when I had them smoked, it makes the whole back end look a lot better when the taillights aren't just bright red back here. It makes it look pretty nice. So anyway, so we're going to start getting those little trim pieces around along the windshield taken off, and then we'll move on to the back. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, so we got the little trim pieces that run along the windshield all back on, so let's move on to the taillights. All right, we're gonna move on to get the taillights removed and get them on the workbench so we can get them all taped up, and then we'll get them sprayed with the tint. So, all right, let's get these off here.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive.
Okay, so we got the taillights removed, and I washed up the area behind the taillights over there, and I got the taillights all washed off and wiped down with some prep all. So now we're gonna get sprayed with some of the tint. I went with the VHT nightshade. So, all right, let's get this on here.
If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I
I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious because
All right, so I got the taillights all sprayed with the smoke. Once that was dry, I actually went ahead and hit it with some 2K clear coat to hopefully make it to where it won't fade after yours will be locked in this time. So when they're all completely dry, we'll get them back on the car. So let's let these dry. All right, so I went ahead and used my multimeter to check and see if I was getting signal back here at the little actuator, and it is. So I'm gonna get this removed and get a new one ordered up so I can get one on there so that the trunk popper will work. All right, so I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to pick this up, but the one pin that's farthest that way, you can see is just completely rusty. So it's not getting connection at all. I think that's the ground post. So I'm gonna clean that up and actually see if it'll work. So, all right, let me clean this up real quick. And if it doesn't work, I'll just order a new one. But I think that's the problem, is it's not getting a very good ground. All right, so I got it remounted up and everything, and it still doesn't work, so it must just be burnt out. So we'll get a new one ordered up, and then we'll get that put on. All right, so I let the taillights sit and dry overnight, so let's get them installed. And I'd say they look a heck of a lot better than when they were bright red. I'm not going to worry about putting the trunk liner back on right now because I still need to get that trunk release solenoid for it. So once that comes in, I'll get that put on. But right now we can move into getting it all detailed up because it is filthy from all the dust and everything. So all right, let's get it washed up. All right, so I got the car all washed up, and now I'm going to go and take a clay bar and go over the entire car to get rid of anything that's still left in the paint before I start buffing it. All right, let's hit this thing with the clay bar. Okay, so I've clay barred the entire car other than the freshly painted panels like the door, the roof, spot on the back of the quarter panel over here. But I've clay barred everything else, the windows and everything. So I'm going to wash it one more time just to get rid of any residue left over from the soap in the clay bar, or the soap in the spray for the clay bar. And then I'm going to let it sit overnight so it can completely dry. I'm not going to record me washing it again because you guys already saw that. So the next thing you'll see, it'll be tomorrow. So, all right, we'll see you in a second. All right, I got the new trunk latch assembly. So we're gonna get that installed, and then we'll get the cover put back on. And then we'll get the trunk surround and the flooring and the jack and the spare tire and all that stuff reinstalled. So, all right, so let's get going. This plug from where it was plugged onto the latch itself is all super rusty inside. So I went ahead and just got another pigtail for it. So I'm just going to cut that and then splice in a new one. That way there's no rust inside the plug as well. So, all right, let's get that done. All right, I got the new trunk latch installed, so now we can check and see if it works. And it works, so all right, now we can get all the trunk put all back together. So, all right, let's do that. All right, I also went ahead and got a new door lock actuator for the driver's side door because when I lock it, I'm sure you can hear that. Makes a horrible noise. Still works, but just makes a horrible noise. So got a new one of those so I can put it in so it doesn't do that. So, all right, let's get that installed. All right, so we got the door lock actuator swapped out, so let's see if it sounds better. Oh, much better. Now you can't even hear it. Now you hear the click of it going rather than that high-pitched squeal. house now. It's dark, so I got to be filming in here in the garage. We were able to get some good rolling footage of the car for you guys. It wasn't a ton because the tags are still expired, so I don't want to be driving at a ton. But the car, I would say, has come a long way from where it started in the beginning of the series, with all the work you guys saw me do, as well as when I bought the car originally back in 2007. It had a 2.7 liter engine in it, and drove that for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years like that, and then that engine went bad. And so I ended up finding a 2002 Chrysler 300M that only had 55,000 miles on it. And I pulled the engine and transmission out of it. Also pulled a bunch of interior parts, both front seats, the rear seat, the center console, because the Intrepid used to be a column shift on the steering column, and I converted over to the floor shift in the middle of the center console. Did all that stuff to it. I've also done a bunch of other things to the car over the years, long before I had the YouTube channel. I would say the car came out pretty sweet, wouldn't you say? That's why I didn't want to just scrap it, is because I knew it could come back to life and look pretty sweet. I think somebody's going to really enjoy it for years to come. All right, so the only thing left to do on the car is to get the rear window tint taken off that's peeling, and then get the trunk surround and trunk liner and stuff put back in there once it's all nice and dry. But I don't need to film that. It's pretty boring. So I'm going to be getting it put up for sale really soon. I just need to get those few things done, and I'm probably going to be asking around $4,000 for it because of everything that's went into it. I'm not sure exactly what the exact blue book is on it, but with the low mileage and then everything that's been done to it, I want to be asking $4,000 OBO. So we'll see if I can get that. I think altogether in parts and paint and everything that I put into it was $2,000 or just over $2,000. So hopefully I can get around, you know, somewhere around $4,000, so I can at least, you know, double my money on it. But if not, like I said, I've had the car since 2007, 2008, and I got plenty of years. I probably drove for, I don't know, 10 years or so or more, and got plenty of my use out of it. I bought it originally for $1,000 and drove up to Puyallup, Washington to pick it up and everything. Everything's great on it now, as you guys saw if you watched the build. And after I get the car sold, I'll be able to tell you guys what I made from it and how much I'm being able to put towards the end goal, which is getting that dream car. I would say that the car is definitely ready to go on to a new home, to somebody who's going to love it and enjoy it as much as I did. And we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. I really want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. I'm hoping to you know, hit 2,000 pretty quickly. I think it took me 5 months to hit 1,000 subs, and I'm well over the 4,000 watch hours. So last I checked, I am at 981 subscribers. So we literally only need 19 more subscribers to hit that benchmark, but let's blow right past that with this video. So, all right, well, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I hope you guys like this one, and we'll see you in the next one.